A mysterious pneumonia outbreak in China. But what if this isn't just another health scare, but a wake up call for global preparedness? Today, we're diving into a developing situation that's causing ripples of concern across the globe.
Oh, that's an intriguing way to look at it. What exactly are we dealing with here? Oh,
Well, according to reports from the American Al Hiral website, there's been an outbreak of a human pneumonia virus in the northern provinces of China. The situation is serious enough that hospitals in the affected areas are becoming overcrowded with patients. And here's where it gets interesting. Chinese authorities have imposed emergency measures, which suggests they're taking this very seriously.
hmm, that does sound concerning. Are we looking at another potential pandemic situation?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? It's hard not to draw parallels to the early days of COVID-19. But, and this is important, we don't have enough information yet to make that kind of call. What we do know is that this is a human pneumonia virus, but details beyond that are scarce. We don't know if it's a new virus, a variant of an existing one, or something we've seen before.
Right, and I imagine that lack of information is part of what's driving the concern. In today's interconnected world, you'd expect more details to be available, especially given the apparent severity of the situation.
Exactly. And that information vacuum is leading to a lot of speculation. People are naturally wondering, could this spread beyond China's borders? Are we looking at the potential for another pandemic? But here's the thing. Not every outbreak becomes a global crisis. We hear about localized outbreaks of various diseases all the time, many of which are successfully contained.
That's a good point. It's easy to forget that public health systems around the world deal with outbreaks on a regular basis, most of which we never hear about because they're managed effectively.
Absolutely. And it's worth noting that our global health infrastructure is in a very different place now compared to where it was at the start of the COVID-19 pandemic. We've learned a lot over the past few years about how to respond to these kinds of threats. There have been significant advancements in areas like disease surveillance, rapid testing, and vaccine development.
So, if we've made all these advancements, why is this outbreak causing so much concern?
Well, I think it's a combination of factors. First, there's the recent memory of COVID-19. We've all lived through a global pandemic now, and that experience has made us much more attuned to these kinds of reports. Then there's the fact that this is happening in China, which played a central role in the early stages of the COVID-19 pandemic. And finally, there's the response from Chinese authorities. The term emergency measures suggests a level of urgency that's catching people's attention.
That makes sense. And I imagine the potential global implications are also a factor. Even if this outbreak is contained within China, it could still have ripple effects around the world, right?
Absolutely. China is a major player in the global economy, and any significant disruption there could be felt worldwide. We saw this during the early stages of the COVID-19 pandemic, with supply chain issues and market volatility. It's a reminder of just how interconnected our world is, and how events in one part of the globe can have far-reaching consequences.
Hmm. And what about the public health aspect? Even if this particular outbreak doesn't spread beyond China's borders, it could still have implications for global health policy, couldn't it?
You're spot on. Even if this outbreak is contained, it serves as a reminder of the ongoing threat of emerging infectious diseases. It might prompt other nations to review and potentially strengthen their own outbreak response plans. In a way, situations like this serve as a kind of stress test for global health systems. Each of these events, even if they're successfully contained, provides valuable lessons that can help us better prepare for future threats.
That's a really interesting way to look at it. It's like we're constantly learning and adapting our approach to global health challenges.
Exactly. And I think that's a perspective that's worth holding on to as we follow this developing situation. Yes, it's concerning, and yes, it's okay to feel anxious about it. But it's also an opportunity for learning and improvement in how we handle these kinds of health crises. As we continue to monitor the situation, let's try to balance our natural concern with a recognition of the advancements we've made in dealing with these kinds of threats and the potential for further improvements.
Well said. So, What should our listeners take away from this discussion?
I think the key takeaways are these. First, stay informed through reliable sources. This situation is developing, and new information could change our understanding at any time. Second, remember that not every outbreak becomes a pandemic. Our global health systems are better equipped than ever to handle these kinds of threats. And finally, use this as an opportunity to reflect on our own preparedness. Whether it's personal hygiene habits or community response plans, there's always room for improvement.
Those are great points. And I'd add one more. Let's remember the human element here. While we're discussing global implications, there are real people in China dealing with this outbreak right now.
Absolutely. That's a crucial reminder. Well, as we wrap up, I think it's safe to say that this story is far from over. We'll be keeping a close eye on developments and bringing you updates in future episodes. Until then, stay informed, stay prepared, but don't panic. The world has faced health challenges before and will face this one together, whatever it turns out to be.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Thanks for tuning into Gen FM, where we dive deep into the stories shaping our world. Until next time, take care and stay healthy.